Hello everyone, and welcome back to Navigating the Periphery. How is everyone doing today? If you are into what we're doing on this channel, you know what to do. We want to try to reach out and get our message out there and try to reach as many people as we can. Navigating the Periphery, we are trying to stop the stigma of a mental health diagnosis one show at a time. If you know anyone who could benefit from watching our channel, please help spread the word.
Remember, it's okay not to feel or be okay all the time. You are not alone. We're here.
He's like one of the girls on The Price is Right. So Philip, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great today, Mom. How about you?
I'm good. I'm excited to discuss today's topic.
First and foremost, we are not medical doctors.
No, we are not.
Our channel is for information and education purposes only. And I'm speaking to you guys out there from my personal life experience with OCD, GAD, and my schizoaffective disorder, from the patient's point of view.
And my perspective is the parental perspective of having a child with those diagnoses.
Yes. So please refer to our full disclaimer at the end of this video in every episode that we put out.
Today we want to say thank you and welcome to all of our new subscribers. We see you out there. We made it to 500, which is awesome. We are so incredibly grateful and thankful, and we only hope to grow from here. If you like what we're doing on our channel, please like and subscribe below.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. And welcome to our channel. Today, we are going to navigate the periphery of how patients with serious mental illnesses were treated in the past here in the United States from the early 1900s to today.
Yes, and it's going to be a bit creepy, which is why we're doing it in the month of October due to Halloween. We wanted to break away from how we normally do our show for a bit, just for a bit of change.
Yes. This episode took me way out of my comfort zone. I wanted to show and emphasize to you guys that even though it was incredibly difficult for me to leave the safety of my house and drive here and walk around in an unfamiliar area that was once an institution for the mentally ill, and is quite unnerving that I rose above my schizoaffective disorder mixed type and did it. And that if any of you guys out there are struggling, that with the right therapy and medication, you can do things you may not be comfortable with too. Just do it in small steps. I'm sure I will look uncomfortable during filming this, but I did it.
You did. And I am really proud of you.
Thank you.
I know you were kind of creeped out.
Yes.
I want to point out in this episode, we are in no way poking fun at this topic. It is very serious and quite horrifying how these patients were treated, and we wanted to shed a light on that and how far the field of psychiatric medicine has come since then. Today, we are sharing some on-location footage of a specific facility here in New York. It was called Letchworth Village. So let's go to the live on-site footage we shot last week, and then we will resume our episode here.
Hi guys, we're filming some part of the case for this week on vacation. We're at Letchworth Village, in New York, not that far from New York, but about 20 miles outside New York City. This is in Queens, New York, and this week's episode is going to focus on when mental health was treated earlier in the decades in the United States. We're going to talk about mental health in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, and Letchworth Village, if you recall, was a facility where medication was tried on people who did not have authority over themselves, who were mentally ill, mentally challenged, and where people's parents felt them off and left them for their entire lives. And this is where they were living. Now it's really vacant and in disrepair. They will show a lot of photos and video so you guys can see. And tomorrow we're also going to show how it looks when they open. Right now what we're doing if you can look to the left, you just have this pattern. And these were high-functioning, mentally ill parents, as they were called. They weren't called residents or patients, because they wanted to make this more of a residential treatment facility. They would make the right to the dining room, and if Paul compared this, you can see the railing that goes down into that dining hall. They were trained to follow the railing all the way down to the dining hall that would guide them in there for activities for their 3 meals for the day. So it's very interesting to hear honestly this report, because I can remember being here and could see all this. So it's really good to hear what the building is doing able to do for this. So I'm going to go and take a look and see the inside of how I remember.
Letchworth Village was a state-run institution for the mentally ill, mentally challenged, and epileptic. Located in Thiels, New York, opened in 1911, it was designed to be a progressive facility offering humane care for individuals with developmental disabilities and mental illnesses. However, over the course of the 20th century, it became notorious for overcrowding, mistreatment, and deplorable conditions. Letchworth Village was established with the idea of creating a more humane and scientific approach to caring for individuals with mental and developmental disabilities. It was named after William Pryor Letchworth, a philanthropist who was an advocate for reforming care for those with disabilities.
The institution was built on over 2,000 acres of land and consisted of a dozen of small cottage-style buildings rather than a single large facility. This layout was intended to give residents more of a comfortable, home-like environment. Letchworth Village was initially viewed as a model institution, with a focus on improving the lives of individuals with mental illness and developmental disabilities. This property had its own farm, dairy, and various workshops where residents were meant to engage in productive work, thus providing some sense of purpose. However, as you can now see in the photo and videos we're showing you, it is an abandoned ghost town and quite dark now.
It sure is, Mom. Like the perfect set for a horror movie. Like many institutions of that era. The philosophy at Letchworth was based on the idea of segregation from society. People with disabilities were often seen as a burden or a threat to social order, and institutionalization was considered the best solution for managing their care. In the 1950s, Letchworth Village also became known for unethical medical experimentation. In 1950, Dr. Hilary Kaprowski tested the first live polio vaccine on residents at Letchworth Village. These tests were conducted on a vulnerable population without proper consent, which raises significant ethical concerns by today's standards.
Definitely.
Yes. Some of the children and residents with intellectual disabilities were used in these early trials, mirroring similar practices at other institutions like Willowbrook State School in Staten Island, New York. While the polio vaccine trial is often hailed as a medical breakthrough, the fact that it was tested on institutionalized individuals without their consent left a dark legacy for Letchworth.
In the 1970s, investigative reporters, most notably Geraldo Rivera, who later gained national attention for exposing abuses at Willowbrook State School in Staten Island, brought public attention to the horrific conditions at Letchworth Village. Rivera's reporting, along with growing public concern about the treatment of individuals with disabilities, fueled national outrage. Photos and footage showed residents living in filth, untreated and often ignored. It became clear that many of the people institutionalized there were suffering greatly, receiving little or no proper medical or psychiatric care.
In the 1970s and 1980s, the U.S. began moving toward deinstitutionalization, largely as a result of public outcry over institutions like Letchworth Village, and changing attitudes toward mental health care. The deinstitutionalization movement sought to move individuals with disabilities and mental illness out of large institutions and into community-based care. Letchworth Village began to downsize in the 1980s, and in 1996, Letchworth Village finally closed its doors. Many of its residents were moved to smaller group homes or community-based care facilities, which were seen as more humane and effective forms of treatment. The facility is a stark reminder of how mental illness and developmental disabilities were once treated in the United States, reflecting both the early optimism for reform and the tragic reality of institutional neglect. The institution's decline and eventual closure contributed to a shift in how society views and cares for individuals with mental and developmental disabilities.
After its closure, the site, as you can see from our photos and videos, has become an abandoned property, with many of the buildings falling into disrepair. It has since gained a reputation as a haunted place and often visited by urban explorers. The crumbling structures stand as a reminder of darker days of mental health care in the United States. It is deeply troubling that this facility here in New York actually existed and that these atrocities occurred here. We will leave you with some footage and photos of the cottages in Letchworth Village, now abandoned, and what they looked like after it had opened and over the years. And we will see you guys in part 2, coming next week.
Thank you guys so much for watching today. We hope you enjoyed us going off site and bringing something a little different during this spooky season. And remember, it's okay not to feel or be okay all the time. You guys out there, and gals, are not alone. We're here.
Yes, and we are trying to stop the stigma of a mental health diagnosis, one show at a time. So we will see you guys in part 2. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Bye.